body weight. So that's not a bad thing. But the only time it becomes an issue is if your muscles are weak or if everything starts breaking down and you're out of alignment. So take those two things into consideration. So if you're taking 1,500 steps a mile in addition to all that pounding from the pavement or whatever your surface you're running on, that can lead to a lot of injury down the road, right? The biggest thing right now we're seeing in the clinic is that as runners, you're always going straight. No one's running to the side, right? So all the muscles that help us go straight are becoming fatigued, they get overworked, and we forget to train the muscles that help keep us stable on the side. So what I want everyone to try to do is just stand on one leg.
So stand up.
So if you feel like a little unstable, if you can't hold this for 30 seconds, you have an issue, okay? So try and switch onto the other leg. If you feel like your hip is dropping or you have to lean over to help yourself stay upright, there's something that we should look at, right? You gotta build the strength. Now stay on that one leg and I want you to give it a little hop. And if you can't do this, right? That could be an issue down the road too. Okay, that's good. Everyone can sit down now. So that just gives you like a little idea, because when you're running, right, it's a lot of just landing on one foot, right? We have a flight phase in running, and then you have your reaction forces from the ground that I was talking about. So what happens is this muscle over here, I'd say like more than 50%, maybe even 75% or greater of our patients, it gets weak. And when these muscles get weak and we don't train them, things start breaking down the chain. So,
and that's for fast runners or slow runners. Doesn't matter how good you are. We see a lot of runners who run 5-minute miles who come in eventually with pain or injuries because of the weakness that they have in the hips over here. So they're able to compensate really well because they're very fast, right? But other areas get injured when you have compensations.
So, first thing that happens for a lot of runners, when this muscle breaks down, this knee starts to fall in. So a lot of knee issues are caused from the hip up here, right? So if you have like pain on the inside or outside of your knee, it's probably coming from your knee. Now we can't say for sure, it could also be from the ankle and up, but for the majority of people it's from up here. Now if you also feel pain on the side of your hip, same idea. You see everything right now is straight and then a straight line, but if this muscle starts turning off, we lose that straight line, right? And of course everything down the chain gets affected. So another thing you gotta look at is our low back. If you ever feel sore or a little pain in your low back, sometimes it's because we stop pushing with this muscle and we start pushing with the low back and twisting in ways that we shouldn't be twisting. So that's another area of the strength program that we should look at. Some basic exercises you can start doing are your clamshells, your bridges, your squats, lunges. Those are all basic things that you guys can incorporate into a daily strengthening program, as well as a stretching or mobility program, just to make sure everything stays nice and loose. Your running style is also something that you guys can look at, or have like an experienced coach or someone help you out with that, just because if you're doing something so repetitious, you want to make sure that everything stays in good alignment.
Does anyone here have injuries right now? Or pain in their foot, or ankles, knees, that kind of, everyone? Good. So I'm going to do a little experiment. I need one volunteer. How about you? Hey, great. Okay. So can you show me, just stand on your left leg for a second, okay?
Left leg.
Yeah. Lift that a little bit up. Right, good. Great. Now, can you do this for me? I'm going to have you just do a little bit of a squat there. What did you notice about her left knee? Is it staying straight or is it going in? Going in. Great. Everyone saw that, right? Now you're all doctors, okay? Good. That's good. So that is one of the biggest issues that we see in all of our runners. And again, whether you're fast or slow, this is a major issue. Why does that happen? A lot of times because, number one, you're not aware of it, right? Number two, because this muscle isn't doing its job. Again, fast or slow runners, doesn't matter. So one of the things we have to really work on, as Dr. Ken said, is making sure that this muscle, the muscles in your butt, so everybody stand there for a second. I want you to really give some love to your butt here. Good. Feel those muscles, all right? Maybe you don't have any muscles there. It's okay. All right? So a lot of our rehab, a lot of our performance is geared towards getting this to be stronger. Things like squats. So can you show me what a squat looks like? So this is what a squat, this is how I would do a squat. Great. That's amazing. Okay? If everyone can do that, you're going to be all cured. What a lot of people do when they squat is they'll come down and do the same thing. They collapse at the knee here. Okay? This is a #1 issue for knee issues and also for foot and Achilles issues, because when you collapse here, a lot of stress goes down to the bottom of the foot too. That's a problem again, like Ken said, if you're adding 1,500 steps times 20 miles, that's going to be a big problem. Little problems that you don't fix now will become much bigger problems when you add a lot of volume running. Good. So we talked about this guy over here. Let's all touch our thighs in the front. Okay? You know what these are called? Quads. Yeah, exactly. What's the muscles in the back? Hamstrings. These are our glutes we talked about, right? Then we have our calves and our Achilles is back over here, right? Okay. Has anyone had Achilles injuries before? Like Achilles pain? Yes, exactly. So Dr. Ken talked about technique being an issue, right? So I'm going to say that one of the biggest issues that we see, again, fast or slow runners, is running technique. So a lot of us have not been taught how to run. Did anyone teach you how to run? No, you came to this club and someone said, okay, we're going to run this workout today, right? But nobody said, okay, listen, what's your name? John. John. No one said, hey, John, when you're running, I notice that your knee comes in, or I notice that you land on your heel. Nobody told us that when we were kids, right? Which is why we like working with younger runners, because we teach them the good habits for later on. Heel strikers have the most issues, but that is also 80% of all runners. So if I had all of you run past me in the line, most of you would land first on your heel. And for most of the time, it's okay. But again, you multiply distance. Now, Ken said that it's about 3 times your body weight whenever you run on one step, right? You can reduce that by 30 to 40% by landing on the forefoot to the midfoot. That's a huge drop in ground reaction force, or basically the effect of gravity on your foot. So what we try to do at our office is we try to actually teach runners to go transitioning from the heel strike to the midfoot or to a forefoot strike. And that's one way to prevent injury for the long run. So if you see a lot of the Kenyan runners, for example, who are very, very fast, a lot of them they're all raised running barefoot. So they actually will run more on that forefoot first before they land on the heel, which is how you want to run. And that's something that you want to learn. The other thing is, and by the way, when you do that, it's not about just running on your toes, because then you end up with Achilles issues. It's about transitioning safely into that running form over months, and that will actually make it faster. So we've had 5-minute milers very fast, right? They have reduced their time to about 4:40, 4:45, just changing the running form. We have a lot of 7-minute mile runners who are now transitioning to 6-minute miles just because they changed the running form. So not only are you preventing injury by changing how you run, your technique, but you're also going to work on your speed, which is what everybody wants to do, right? Why wouldn't you want to get faster, right? And just by changing your technique, that can make a big difference in how you do today versus how you do 3 months from today, just on technique alone. Okay. The other news that we see as far as calf strain. So if you touch the back of your leg over here, right? Here, that's your calf. So again, if we're overextending and doing too many things over time without stretching, without mobility, those things will be compromised too. So one thing I wanted to show you, does anyone know how to do the Achilles stretch or calf stretch? You guys probably do that. Can you show me how to do that?
I have trouble with the calf.
Oh, you do have? Oh, hey! Hey, we found you. Okay, so one more thing we're going to do. So there are 2 muscles to the calf, all right? One is deeper, one is on the outside. And most of us stretch this way, right? You guys know this one, right? What I'm going to have you do, because of what's involved in running, you're also going to stretch, but you're going to bend your knee a little bit too. That'll address the deeper muscle of your calf. Okay? And for some of us, if you're not flexible, you're not going to have an issue, you're not going to feel it stretching. But for those of us who are very tight, which is usually the longer distance runners, that's something you want to address on both. Okay? So straight leg is important, but also make sure that you do the bent knee. Okay? Quadriceps. You guys have done this stretch before, right? So doing this is not going to stretch the muscle out. You got to really make sure that you keep yourself up in line and that you feel the stretch that way as well. Good? Very good. The other issue that Dr. Ken mentioned is that we don't do a lot of louder movement when we run, right? So everything's very linear this way. So we forget that everything else tightens up inside the leg. So make sure that you also get your groin. One thing you can do is take your feet apart, get some room. Good. And all you do is go to the one side. You should feel the stretch on the inside of your thigh. Very good. And switch to the other side. Awesome. So the question that we get a lot is, so do I stretch before I run? Do I stretch after I run? I'm going to say you want to do a little bit of both. But when you're about to run, what you don't want to do is long duration stretches. So it's not going to be a minute for each stretch. You're going to actually go for about 10 to 15 seconds. It's a dynamic kind of stretch. You don't want to get the muscles to be weakened by being too stretched out before you run. You want them to be prepped and ready. After you run is when you want to spend some time stretching out your hamstrings, your quads for a minute, 2 minutes, that sort of thing. Spend some time to make sure that the muscles don't tighten up after you run, because we're all kind of stiff after a long run, right? To reduce some of that, doing the stretching for a longer duration would be very, very helpful for you. Okay, any questions? Good, have a seat. So, with running technique, we talked about making sure that, we can transition over from a heel strike to a mid-foot or forefoot strike. The other thing you want to make sure is your arm position. So a lot of us, after we start running for a little while, start doing this. It's a natural kind of thing. It's fatigue kind of sets in. We got to make sure that our shoulders are down and back. So you got to also make sure that you address the upper carriage here too. Just getting your legs stretched out is not going to do the whole. It's not going to give you the whole picture of how to keep yourself in a better position. Make sure these guys are also stretched out too. So one thing I'm going to have you show. Everyone sit up straight and tall, right? And this is great because does everyone work on a computer? Right? So what happens to the computer? Right? That's not you, right? We do this. So what happens here is putting a lot of stress on our neck and back, and that can cause issues later on too. So sitting up straight and tall, shoulders down, very important. And all you're going to do is tilt your head to the one side. Very easy stretch. Okay? Good. Keep your chin tucked in a little bit. So you don't want to be doing this. You want to be keeping it down neutral. That. You should feel a stretch on that opposite side. Good. And this is your upper trap muscle, we call it. And then switch to the other side. Very good. Right. And then taking your neck through that range of motion. So you're going to go from this position all the way to the back, to the one side, and down to your chest, nice and easy. While you're doing this, you may know some places where it kind of catches and it doesn't feel that good. Just ease yourself into those stretches. Good. And then go in the opposite direction. Good. This you should be doing every day, and you should be doing it at your computer. So I tell a lot of people, hey, listen, if you're in front of your computer and that's part of your job, every half hour, take 1 minute out of that time just to get some stretches in there to make sure that you're not doing this, so that you don't have to see me later on, right? Good. The other thing is making sure, so everyone keep their palm faced up. So we're going to stretch the back of our muscles here. Okay. Right across your body. Again, keeping good posture, that's really important, right? Whether you're a runner or on your computer, posture is everything. And then take your other hand, bring it across your chest. For those of you who are already flexible, just pull a little bit more. You'll feel that in the back of your arm and the back of your shoulders as well. Okay? Again, this is also very important for runners. A lot of our runners will come in also with tightness of the neck and tightness of the muscles in the back. Good, switch sides. Great, okay. Hands behind your neck, just like this, okay? And we're now going to get the muscles in our chest again. So this is a typical posture that we see. We want to open up the entire area for runners and for computer users. So from here, I want you to bring the back of your elbows, if you can, towards the back this way. Okay? This helps you to kind of get a deep breath in here. So take a deep breath. It might be the first deep breath you've taken in a while. Good. Oh my God, this guy's already came. Here we go. Good, great. Take my card. Okay. Good, and relax. And bring it back, nice and easy. Very good. And relax. Okay. Check it out. Okay. So we're going to go over a little bit of warm-up sequence that you can do. I don't know if the coaches already do, Rennie, but we're going to do some things just to kind of get you ready. These are things that you can do before any run, And these are things that will actually help prep for you. And again, we're looking about injury prevention. We want to make sure that you can run for a long, long time, right? Okay.
All right, guys, stand up. Get some room, spread out. Yeah, let's get a lot of room. We're going to be kicking and... All right, first one, let's do knees to chest. So all you're going to do is pull in and then switch over. You don't have to hold it for too long. We're just going to go back and forth. This one stretches out the glutes. Next one, grab your foot and you're going to pull back. But make sure you're not leaning forward, nice and tall. Pull back, and your other hand, if you want, you can reach it up. Make sure you stretch it real high, and just switch. Grab the foot, reaching up, pull back, and switch. It's going back and forth. You don't want to hold these stretches for too long before your run. I'm losing my balance. Okay, one more on each side. Alright, kind of like what we did before. Feet apart, let's lean in. Hold that for a second. And we'll go right over to the other side. Everyone's going to be a little different. If you feel like one stretch is a little bit harder for you, you can stay in that position a little bit longer. Alright, good. Arms up, and you're just going to kick up.
Be careful with this one. You're going to pull a hamstring.
Alright, and next one. You're going to circle your hip out. You need something to hold on to because your balance is poor. You just put a fingertip or two on the table. Good, and switch. Alright, let's do some high knees. So, your knees up. Good. Put those knees up to your chest. Good, let's switch. We're going to try and do butt kickers here.
Keep your arms really loose. It's very important. A lot of us try to do this. Just kind of keep it loose.
Alright, good. Let's do some squats. So you can sit back, raise your arms up. And let's get 10 of these. Make sure you're sitting your hips back. So try not to do this, right? All your weight should be back on your heels.
Keep your body upright if you can also. If it hurts your knees, don't force it.
No, they're very knees. It's lower back bothers. No knees. So
You need to get checked out.
Good, from here, let's do lunges. So you're going to step in and back.
Again, while you're doing the lunges, make sure your knee isn't coming in. Very important, okay? It's a good time to start working on that. So you don't want to do this. Make sure you're keeping your knee in line with the foot coming down. So warming up is not fun, doesn't feel good. That's okay, that's part of it, but that will help you prepare for your running, all right? Shoulders, we're gonna go a little bit here. Small circles. Good, a little bigger. Very basic stuff that we don't do anymore as a culture, or as a society. Good. and forward. Small circles first. A little bigger. A little bigger. And nice and big. Okay. Up to the ceiling, reach over to one side, nice and carefully, okay? Hold on there for a few seconds. Come back up, other side. Again, we're addressing areas that we don't normally hit as runners because everything's more forward and backwards, right? Good, other side, one more time. Good, reach, reach, reach. And switch. And relax. Okay, everyone's taller now that we're stretched out, right? Okay. So I think for today, that's going to be, we have actually part 2 coming up where one of our other coaches will be talking about programming for longer distance runs. And that'll be, I think, in 2 weeks, Rennie? Okay, great. So if any have any questions before we take off, we're happy to answer those. Otherwise, Rennie has our contact information. If you ever want to kind of get a quick consult with us, we're happy to discuss any issues that you might have or working running technique, all those kinds of things. Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's true, but the question is why yeah, so it's coming from the point, it's coming from doing squats differently than you should, then you should address it. Yeah, exactly. You should not be doing squats, but we got to walk the spot. The squats are a very functional technique. So I will let you know what is causing Yeah, okay. So the question is if you have knee pain, what you should do, okay? Number one, you gotta start looking at decrease or cut the activity throughout a week. So the general advice I give to patients or people is listen, if you have some kind of pain, you know, we're not 20 years old anymore, right? It takes us longer to heal, unfortunately. So give yourself a week of rest. You can swim, you can do a little biking, what's not causing that pain. And ice is the best thing for the first couple of days, all right? If it's not better after a week or two, don't push through it. Call someone. Call me, call a doctor, call somebody and say, listen, call your coach. Hey, I'm having this knee pain. What should I do, right? And that's when you might have to get it looked at. It may just be, hey, listen, you gotta change your shoes. You've had this for more than 6 months. Or maybe, listen, let's look at your running technique. Maybe it's a running technique. Maybe it's your volume. All of a sudden, hey, you know, I feel like the race is here, but I've only done this much running, so I'm trying to cram the running in, right? That happens a lot. So what happens is we increase the volume, and all of a sudden our body can't take it. Again, we're not 20 years old anymore. Okay? So it's a couple of things. Making sure that you look at your volume, cut that out for about a week, ice it down for a couple of days. If it's not better within a week or two, call somebody just to get a consult. Yes?
Do you take insurance or?
Yes, we do work with a lot of insurance companies. We do accept Medicare as well. So we can always verify the benefits for you and take a look. Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you encourage people to do the foam roller?
Yes, so foam rolling is great. Now, has anyone had IT band issues? Pain on the side of your knees or anything over here? Some people have that. So when you use IT bands, you can roll it on the muscles before or after you run. Okay, that's something you can do either way. When you do it, it'll feel really uncomfortable, but one of those things will help to decrease your sensation of that pain from what you're doing. But that's only one part of the picture, right? So foam rolling is great, but if you're not strengthening, you're not working on your flexibility, it's not going to be that much help. It's a temporary kind of thing. I think this question is on, but yes?
Yeah, no, I just want to ask you, without the insurance, how do you
It depends on what we're looking at, and it depends on a lot of different things, but we can work that out. So we have a lot of different package systems for people if they are paying out of pocket. Sorry?
What about the consultation?
Consultation, for everyone here, we do a quick consult, so we'll offer a free consultation, about 15 minutes. Take a look at you, take a look at your running gait, say, hey, listen, you should work on these things, or hey, listen, maybe you want to take a look at this a little closely. We'll be very honest with you. We're not going to try to take you and go for a ride with that. We're going to really make sure that you're doing things that can help you out there. That's what we're known for. Yes.
Open on Saturdays or?
We open Saturdays. Yep. Yeah. So we're open Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday 7 to 8, and Saturdays in the morning till about 2 o'clock. Yeah, just as FYI. Yeah.
That works for
Yeah, for many of us, that's the best way to do it.
Exactly.
Good. Yes. Any other questions? Great. I think Rennie has information. And for people who came, you're more than welcome to take a bag. I don't have that many, but whatever you want to take. It's good. And then I think in 2 weeks, Coach Linda will be here. We're talking more about programming. If we have time, we'll look at running technique as well for a couple of you, just to kind of see what looks good and what should be a better way to run. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome so much. Was it the 17th?
Oh, the 17th, I'm sorry. Oh, actually, 17th, the Father's Day.
Yes, Father's Day.
Yeah,
Father's Day morning, early.
Yeah.
Only down the show.
Yeah.
Father's Day gift.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. If we have any question, can I forward a question
Absolutely,
to you?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
so I could collect question. Maybe some people
Yeah.
didn't come today.
Perfect.
They have a question.
Yeah, if it's okay with the group, I'll send out an email to everybody to get information. That'd be great. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye.
Yeah.